I have finally figured out Gwen's actual problem. Whenever she has things to choose between, she chooses the one that should be less of a priority and is the stupid option. Hey guys, welcome back to the read-along of the Cyborg Tinkerer by Meg LaTorre. I'm Kat and we've made it to chapter 26 and 27. And ooh, did I enjoy following Gwen through those two chapters. So last chapter, Bastion and Gwen fought against some flesh traders. Bastion got shot and pummeled a bit, but they made it out. And Gwen had to choose between going onto the ship and maybe saving some of the former performers or saving Bastion. So she chose Bastion, put him on her skimmer and took off to find him a healer, which is where they are now. This woman is stitching Bastion up, and then Gwen sits down and watches him sleep for an hour instead of going for the ship like she said she would. She waits for an hour and he is still asleep, everything is good, so she takes off to maybe save some other people, but the ship is already gone. Weird how that works if, you murder a couple of the sailors and then you just hang out somewhere else for well over an hour because you had to find the healer. She was there for him getting stitched up and then she just sat around for an hour. Priorities, Gwen. Yours are rubbish. And I think the word choice is a bit off in this section. Despite everything that had happened between them, the butchered cyborgs, traveling into the wilderness, fighting a dragon, now facing a pack of wolfish flesh traders, she had come to rely on Bastion's reassuring presence and iron bull. Why is this despite? Despite the surgeries, yes, I get that. But then you come to rely on him because of your trip into the wilderness where he helped you, because of your fight against the dragon where he risked his ass for you, because he came to save you, or because he came after you and happened to save you. So despite doesn't strike me as the right word here. Gwen changes her mind again. She has to protect all of those other cyborgs, Bastion, Arcu, all of the other performers. She has to protect them. She changes her mind like every 10 minutes. It's no wonder she doesn't get anything done. This also brings up the question that I should have probably asked last chapter, but how did Bastion get there at the right time? Because if Gwen left in the middle of the night on her skimmer, even if she was asking around like with two captains before this, Bastion is on foot as far as I can tell, so even if he had set off at the same time as Gwen, she should have had quite a bit of a head start, so I'm not sure how Bastion managed to be there in time. And now that we see Bastion with his shirt off, I'm also really confused. Because we were told that his chest was plated, that he had additional plating to help protect him against animal attacks when he works with all of the cyborg beasts. But now Gwen is talking about his coarse, dark chest hair. Gwen is the right connoisseur when it comes to chest hair, it seems. But now she's talking about chest hair, and I'm like, where is this metal then? How is this all metal if we still have chest hair? But then there must also be enough flesh for her to see other wounds on him. Like when he got hit, he apparently has bruises on his ribs and whatnot. And I'm just like, if he wanted to be protected from beasts, like what bits are plated then? I would have thought it'd be like the whole chest really, but Bastion informs us that he does not suffer from the forgetting and that he kind of recruited Gwen because he was hoping that she could make it happen for him. Because unlike most of the others, he actually wants to forget who he used to be. Because he refuses to stay put and is trying to get up out of bed, Gwen gets mad and tells him he shouldn't try to kill himself after she worked so hard to save him. You do know that he wouldn't have gotten shot in the first place if he hadn't come after you, right? Just putting it out there. And only when she sees the bruises on his ribs and his abdomen, she realizes that he risked his life for her. So it's like, yeah, woman, he just got shot for you. It was kind of there already, but you needed to see bruises on ribs to understand. Okay. She tries to get him back into bed, But because she has to be pretty close to do that, she can feel his heat coming through her clothes, and it's so distracting because, my god, the woman needs to get laid so badly. It wasn't funny the first time, and it's not funny now either, so just get a grip, Gwen. And we get this really weird bit from Gwen. When I picked you up last night, you weighed little more than a child half your age, assuming you're 30 after 10 years at the circus. So he weighs about as much as a 15-year-old, at which point do you lift a 15-year-old, Gwen? Unless they are serving on the same ship as you and they get knocked out for some reason, I don't see any scenario where your average grown-up would lift a 15-year-old. Also, a 15-year-old can easily be the height and weight of a grown-up, so it's just a weird comparison, I think. But she also tries to fix Bastion. There's no point in helping you if you can't learn to love yourself first. Wow, thank you, Dr. Gwen. That fixes all of his psychological issues right up. We get a bit that I feel comes across as very forced. As in, like, they wanted Gwen to appear very progressive and accepting and, you know. And she goes with, so long as you're healthy, who the fuck cares what size you are? Again, she tried to bring him toward the bed, but he stood rigidly in place. I don't care if you're tall or short, bony or curvy, or what color your skin is. Yes, thanks, Gwen. I mean, it's all true, sure, but it feels forced in this instance. I don't know, Gwen has this weird burst where she has to try to tell you what an accepting and progressive person she is, and it just feels like working off a checklist. Much like some of the characters and their orientation or gender, it just feels like it's crammed in to be there rather than serving any purpose or, you know, doing anything for the character. But Gwen got a glimpse of chest hair, and then we get this. As she spoke, she noted her closeness of his lips to hers. She could feel his stale breath heating her cheeks, and she didn't care. Whew, stale breath, is there anything sexier? I guess not for Gwen, I don't know. But damn. Anyway, she tells Bastion how strong he is, how handsome and capable, and that he's a good person. And the only thing that Bastion hears out of this is that she thinks he's handsome. Which leads us right up to the bit that just made me cringe. Reaching out, he traced his fingers over her shoulder to the soft skin of her neck. His hand lingered before he ran his fingers through her hair. Ugh. That is still like your employer there, and literally less than 24 hours ago she told another person that she loved her in front of him, and now he's here just fondling her, and he's just like, can you not? Like, can anybody make the actual situation a priority instead of being horny, maybe? Because Gwen gets a glimpse at Bastion's second implant, the plating, rather than, I guess, well, his first implant is related to his heart. I don't know how she would look at that. But she sees the plating that goes up his spine and then wants to see his chip. I'm not sure what she will even do with the chip, because she has nothing that can read the chip, and there are no digital displays on the cyborg, or she doesn't have any digital displays of her own either, so I'm not sure what the hell she's going to look at with this chip, but Bastion agrees. She gets it out, and we get this bit of background. She knew from some of the books that the slot used to be a bright metal material, but after pirates had stolen a number of chips from cyborgs, it had been changed to match the skin tone of the cyborg to make it more difficult to locate. But if it's at the base of their neck or at the base of their head, unless every cyborg has their chip somewhere else, but I don't think they do, because that's where Gwen's is as well. So I don't see how camouflaging them would help in any way. Once the pirates know where this chip is, then it doesn't matter what color it is, they know where to nick it from. Yeah, I'm not sure what she was hoping to achieve, but she notices some dark polymer material on the chip that she hasn't seen on anything else. I don't think she's seen many chips to begin with, so I'm not sure how she makes this conclusion. But, after thinking about it for a second, she tells you that the forgetting and Rora's and Mezzana's body rejecting the implants must be down to the chips. So she has an idea how to do something about it now. And they get ready to leave again to try and fix Rora and Mezzana. So all of this implies that there are no older cyborgs anywhere. Like, it's been outlawed to make new cyborgs for 10, 20 years, but what about people who were turned into cyborgs before this? Is there literally nobody around who could have just told people, what's the forgetting? What are you talking about? I still have all of my memories. So the chapter concludes with Gwen thinking perhaps the forgetting wasn't an accidental side effect of becoming a cyborg after all. It's the first intelligent thought we've had from Gwen in quite some time. Gwen starts off chapter 27 on a really high note. If there was anyone who could make dying look good, it was Rora. This is coming from the perspective of a woman who thinks she's responsible for the predicament this one is in, and this is what she's thinking? Like, wow, Gwen, cold. It took them the better part of the day to sneak back into the performers' dormitories. So they combined their funds, bought something to actually read the coding on the chips, and then headed back. And apparently leaving the place is easy because Gwen just went out of the window onto her skimmer and buggered off. But getting back into the dormitories is something that takes the better part of the day. It's a very weird security system they have going there. When Gwen gets to Rora's room, Archeo is standing guard over Rora. I'm not quite sure why he's standing guard. Like, if he was concerned about her, okay, but then he should also be concerned about Mezzana. I kind of would have expected both of them to be in the same room, like, in the sick bay or whatever. It's not like you have an actual hospital in this castle, but I would expect Mezzana and Rora to be, in the quarters of the healer or something, rather than each of them in their own room just lying there. It's like, who's taking care of these people? Is this Archeo running back and forth, making sure that they don't die from dehydration, starvation, or whatever else might happen while they're completely out? I don't know. But it sounds like Archeo is literally standing guard, as if he was worried that Rora might be attacked, which is weird because nobody assumed, apart from the healer, that Rora had been attacked in the first place. So what exactly is he guarding her from in this instance? I'm not sure. Gwen shows you how proficient in her job she is. Gwen was no engineer or mainframe expert, but all tinkerers had to understand basic coding in case machines malfunctioned. She could tweak the coding, but she couldn't write it. You know that Rora is in the ship, right? That the coding might be a bit different between a ship and something as sophisticated as a cyborg implant that is attached to a human nervous system. Sure. And she does wonder, why is there so much coding? Because it's a complex system, duh. But she concludes that because her new implants didn't quite work with the coding, she triggered something that put Mezzana and Rora into a deep sleep, which is technically designed to help the technology and the host to recover. So this is self-healing technology, because from what we learned about the implants and how they were broken, that doesn't seem to be the case. And also, given the conditions that these people live in, how is putting your host into a coma helpful? It seems like it's far more likely to lead to their death than to their recovery. Gwen manages to kickstart some of the coding and reset Rora's system, so she wakes up. Gwen is obviously preoccupied with the betrayal, and she's still mad at Rora, both for being used and for Rora ratting them out to Abercan and Fernil. So Rora wakes up, and her first question is, where am I? How long have I been out? Gwen tells her it's been only one day and apologizes that she shouldn't have tried to install her new hand. And Rora replies with, don't, I should be the one apologizing. There will be time for that soon enough. is all she gets from Gwen, and she doesn't mention that she was attacked. It's like, no, we all just keep going now. And then hours later, in Mazana's room, after Gwen reset her system as well, she still doesn't mention it. It's just like, no, I've been electroshocked, that's why I was out, but it's fine, it's fine. It's an irrelevant detail, we don't need to mention that. Akio and Mazana are over the moon to be okay and together again. Let's hope that actually lasts for a while, because I wouldn't bet on it. Now that Gwen has a device to actually read the chips, Bastion asks her to check on his chip again as well. And while she's looking over the coding, Akio informs her that Bastion is a different man because of her, a better man. It's like, yep, it's a week with Gwen. Works the magic, that's all you need, and suddenly everybody's a better person. Gwen learns that she can't do anything for Bastion because he has 2 layers of conflicting coding, or at least some lines of those overlap, as in visually overlap when Gwen reads the coding, and she can't do anything about it. It's first off too complex for her, and since there's conflicting stuff already, she can't really touch it. But then Gwen drops this: could the person who installed the plating have accidentally written conflicting coding, or was it intentionally malicious? Well, the mistress is the one who put the plating and the chip for it in, so I would say it's malicious coding from the mistress, yes. Then either I missed something in the chapter where Rora was knocked out, or the author forgot, I don't know. But Rora finally mentions that she was attacked. Before I passed out, I told Abercan and Faniel about a plan to sabotage their props. He used an electroshocker on me and must have dumped my body in the room after. But you were already in your room? Like, she went to her room and then it turned out Abercan and Faniel were already in there, and that's where they knocked her out. I don't know, but Gwen seems to think the same. He must have intercepted Rora on her way back to her room last night. No, he intercepted her in her room, not on the way there. I don't know. What's continuity? Gwen and Rora argue, because obviously Gwen is very hurt how Rora used her so expertly, because we know that was a master plan of seduction going there. I thought that you and I were endgame. Yeah, but why? You barely know each other, and yet you were already planning the rest of your life with Rora or something? I don't know. Gwen passes on the information that the losing performers are not just relieved of their implants, but they are also being sold as slaves. But Rora is too busy still arguing with Gwen. Gwen asks whether anything between them was ever real, and Rora gets really mad. Even if whatever we shared wasn't real, you never even gave it a chance. This entire time you were cozying up to management. Is that why Bastion's really here? Because you paid him off with your... You'd best not finish that sentence. Gwen's voice was dangerously quiet. So, this woman told you that she loves you in front of this guy like 24 hours, maybe a bit more, 24 hours ago, and now you bust out with this, Rora? Like, what the heck? This is a level of immaturity and jealousy that is just... It's not cute on anybody. But now that Rora has finally mentioned that she was actually attacked and she didn't just go to Abercan and Faniel or Abercan and lay out Gwen's master plan of sabotaging props, and nobody cares. She mentioned that she was attacked and nobody seems to give a shit. It's like, okay then. I guess it really doesn't matter. So Rora gets booted out of the room because she clearly doesn't want to be part of this plan. They discuss for several hours, but the plan stays the same, except Gwen is the one who will do the sabotaging now. When she's done explaining all of those things, she looks at Bastion, and rather than seeing pride on his face for her doing everything she could to save these performers, the look on his face said one thing: he didn't think they'd win. One of the dum-dums has some common sense. Yeah, because I can't see this going well either, but I guess we'll find out in the next 2 or 3 chapters or so. Man, these guys are so hormonal and immature, and it's just annoying. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll be back next week with another video. Leave a like, subscribe, and let me know whether you read the book or whether you have a better plan than sabotaging props. Let's see whether we can be smarter than Gwen. It shouldn't be too hard in this instance. Bye guys!